I would like to thank you for attending this press briefing by the Fund for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe. My name is Bob Mutangana, the political organizer of FEEZ. With me here, I have Comrade Love Mo Ruru, the Secretary for International Relations for FEEZ, the National Secretary. I also have with me Comrade Johnson Bunu on the far end, the National Secretary for Information and Communications for the Youth NRC in the First Party. It is also my pleasure to introduce the Chief Commandant and the President of the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, Commandant Godfrey Tsenengamu. So I will now take over, I will now hand over the time for him to address the members of the press and the members of this nation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade Mpanana. Firstly, I would like to thank you all members of the Fourth Estate for taking your time to be with us here and for responding positively to our invitation to come and cover this press conference. I would like to say greetings to all progressive Zimbabweans within and without our borders. Comrades and friends, I would not want to take much of your time. I would want to get straight into the issues that have caused us as a party to convene this presser today, the 13th of July 2022. Here I'm going to address two critical issues according to us as a party. The first one is the position of the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe regarding the 2023 general elections. Then the second one will be what I've said, 2017 is here. Zimbabwe at Crossroads, the way forward. For those who want to hear our positions and views on these two critical issues, you are urged to remain with us as we'll be having this press conference. So as you are all aware, 2023 is around the corner. As the FEEZ political party, we are expecting elections around April, March. From around March to around June or July. That's where we are expecting elections. Why we say so? Because we know that ZANU-PF relies so much on woodwinking the masses, and they want to have elections at a period when they would have dished out some goodies in the form of agricultural inputs. So as far as I know, elections will be, we have to expect elections from around March going forward. I'm saying this for the benefit of other political parties, especially opposition political parties, so that we are not seen wanting when these guys call for elections. Because the problem that we have is that one of the contestants, who is President Mnangagwa, has also that mandate to proclaim the dates for the presidential elections. So let's expect elections from as early as March or April going forward. So what is the position of the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe regarding the 2023 elections? We are going to participate in the 2023 harmonized elections. Many would want to know if we are going to field candidates at all levels. That is a presidential candidate, parliamentary candidates, and also council candidates, as well as senatorial candidates and PR candidates for women and youths, as is stipulated in our national constitution. So here is our position as the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe. One, we acknowledge that we are a small party at the moment. So we are not going to waste our time by fielding a presidential candidate when we are very much aware that our membership and support base for now will not give us a win at the presidential election. Why are we saying so? Because according to our calculations, looking at how we have rolled out our mobilization programs and how we have been recruiting, we are targeting a 10%, a 10% of the total of votes. What is the 100% of the 2023 vote according to us that we're expecting? We're expecting not more than 5 billion people to vote in the 2023 elections. Even if you look at the figure that have been given so far and the figure that have registered so far, according to what ZEC is providing, it's not more than 6 million. So there is no way we are going to attain 100% voter turnout in 2023. So at most we are going to get around 5 million people to vote. So as a party, we are targeting 10% of that, which is around 500,000 of the 5 million vote that is going to come out in 2023. So we are going to field 10% of the parliament for the parliamentary seats. We have around 210 parliamentary seats. So as a party, we are going to field just 20 MPs to contest. We are going to field around 100 councillors in local authorities all over Zimbabwe. And what we have done as a party is we have sent out invitations inviting our members to bring in their CVs to indicate their interest if they are interested in standing and contesting. And the response has been very overwhelming because that issue is being managed by our National Elections Directorate, which our chief political organizer is part of. So that's how we are going to approach the 2023 elections. So the question that then comes is, what are you going to do with your 10% on the presidential vote? For us, we have two options. These options are: one, to be part of a grand coalition with all progressive opposition political parties, setting aside our ideological differences or whatever differences that we may be having as political parties. That is the first option. And that option would give us an outright win as opposition parties against ZANU. So we are pushing for that. We are engaging other political parties. We have already started the conversations with other progressive parties. And we hope that our efforts are going to yield positive results. Why we want to have a grand coalition with other political parties? It is because we believe that part of Zimbabwe's problems can be resolved if Zimbabweans come together, unite, and set aside their differences, whatever that they could be, so that we can have a government that is not dominated by a single political party, because the best brains are not restricted to a single political party. We have better brains across the political divide. So Zimbabwe requires the effort of everyone. For Zimbabwe to come out of the current mess that we find ourselves in, we have to find a way of coming together. So we are ready to work with other political parties that think they see value in working with us. Then the second option that we have is that if we fail to come up with a united front as opposition parties, we would rather cause a situation where neither ZANU-PF nor any other perceived bigger party gets an outright win. We would rather use our 10% to cause for the creation of a government of national unity. Why we think it is important to cause a GNU if it is not possible to bring all opposite political parties together? It will be because, one, we want to deal with the toxicity of our politics. From 2023 to 2028, it must be a period where we create a conducive environment for free and fair elections in 2023. And that can only be achieved if all political parties and all political players are part of the governance system that will be there from 2023 to 2028. Why we also say so? It is because no single political party, either ZANU-PF or any other party that can win as a single player in the 2023 election will be having the drive to want to bring in the necessary political reforms, because no political party wants to reform itself out of power. When ZANU-PF came into power in 1980, they maintained Smith's oppressive systems, because vakatanga kuona vapinda kuti ingaba systems aishandiswa naSmith anga akanaka, because they were now protecting them. So everyone who gets into power, rekange checked, they have a tendency of becoming exactly the same as vakanga vachifighter. We thought ED would be better in terms of his approach. He promised when he addressed the ZANU-PF HQ that you are now witnessing an unfolding new democracy. That was according to him. But we have not seen anything of that. He promised jobs. He promised to reform state institutions, but he has not done that. So we don't have any guarantee that anyone who is going to come is going to want reform of the state institutions and make sure that they are independent and they are objective and also effective. And that can only be achieved when we have everyone in the same room, making sure that we have consensus on every matter. And that can only be achieved through a government of national unity. Not now, but after elections, when people would have voted knowing well that maybe someone has got 40% and the next one is 30%, and the other parties have shared 30%. That will force the so-called big brothers to the table with everyone and make sure that there are compromises for the good of every Zimbabwe. And that is the only way where we can deal with issues like corruption. Because the current system has failed to deal decisively with corruption. And some of our comrades in the opposition are equally corrupt. So we don't want to give anyone an open check when we don't have that guarantee that they are going to deliver for the good of Zimbabweans. And if, for example, FEEZ comes into power in 2023, as an example, looking at ZANU-PF as a system, as an entrenched system, there is a likelihood that we will suffer, we will have these guys sabotaging any meaningful efforts either to implement security sector reforms, to deal decisively with corruption, to reform independent commissions and critical state institutions. Because there are a lot of people who are benefiting a lot out of the status quo. So what they will do is whoever wins, who is not ZANU-PF, if they are not sure that that person is not going to keep them safe, they have their comrades from the lowest levels in the civil service to the highest levels, even in the security sector. So what they'll simply do is they will use their cadres, they will use their comrades to make sure that they sabotage any efforts that anyone would want to make after attaining power. And EG, in his first days, experienced the same from loyalists of former President Mugabe. So to make sure that the period from 2023 to 2028 is not a wasted period, one, we have to make sure that either we remove ZANU-PF outrightly with the winner whom we will pledge to back on the condition that he or she accepts to form a government encompassing everyone from all the political parties, inclusive of ZANU-PF, because not everyone in ZANU-PF is as bad as the next person. You have progressive people within ZANU-PF, obviously, who are maybe playing ball because they don't want their bread to be taken away from them. But there are people who are progressive in that arrangement who are also want to see Zimbabwe progressive. There are progressive people across the political divide. So whoever we are going to back must give us a guarantee and pledge that he or she is going to bring everyone into government and make sure that we build Team Zimbabwe and Zimbabwe prospers from that period going forward. Or we'll be left with no option but to make sure that we cause a situation where the bigger political parties will come and negotiate with the small political parties and players so that we have a united Zimbabwe where Zimbabwe can prosper, where we can have a just, empowered and developed Zimbabwe. So this is our position as a party. So for those who would want to work with us in the FEEZ party to contest in the next elections, those who would want to help us with the resources to make sure that we achieve our set aims and objectives in 2023 are very much welcome. I would want to say our membership has tried its level best. We are a self-funded party, we are a socialist party, we are a pro-poor party. We have not been getting any resource or material support from anywhere. The support that we have been getting has been from our members taking everything from their pockets to support the movement, to support the Green Revolution. So we are making an appeal to all progressive Zimbabweans within and without the Zimbabwean borders to help us, to come forward and help us in terms of resources. We are not looking for resources to give out to people. We don't believe in vote buy. We want the basic resources to make it possible for us to get the 20 MPs, our 20 MPs into parliament. MPs who stand firm against corruption. MPs who speak sincerely on behalf of the poor, on behalf of the impoverished masses, on behalf of the rejected workers, on behalf of the vendors, on behalf of the artisanal miners, on behalf of the farmers who are being exploited, on behalf of the diaspora which has been neglected, on behalf of the civil servants who no one has paid attention to, on behalf of the young people and women of Zimbabwe who have been disempowered, people who want a voice. So we are here as the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe to say we are prepared to be the voice of the voiceless, to keep the government of the day on check, to make sure that the government does what is correct. Because all these institutions like ZEC, like the Anti-Corruption Commission and other commissions are interviewed by a parliamentary committee which is called the Standing Committee on Rules and Orders. So if you don't have people with a principled people who can stand, people who cannot sell out in the Standing Committee, then you must forget it, because whatever that is going to come out of those committees will be not for the good of the generality of the Zimbabweans. So we believe that as the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, we have those rightful people to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a voice for the masses, to be a voice for the downtrodden. All we need is the support of the Zimbabwean mass, either by voting for us or also by giving us resource support. No amount of support is too small for us. We appreciate everything. So for any Zimbabwean who wants to partner us in this journey, they are comfortable to get in touch with us and give us any form of support. Then the second part now is 2017 is here. Zimbabwe at Crossroads, the way forward. A lot of people would want to understand why I'm saying 2017 is here when we're in 2022. Yes, 2017 is here for a number of reasons, which I'm going to share with all who care to listen. In 2017, we had a leadership that had become arrogant. We had a leadership that had become selfish, self-centered. A leadership that had gone wrong. A leadership that all it wanted was to maintain power. A leadership that didn't care with the welfare of the rest of the people. A leadership that was filthy corrupt. A leadership that was looting. And this is exactly the situation that we find ourselves in. On the ZANU-PF side, there was serious factional and tribal fights in that party. And kure kwemeso atiko but tinonzwa. And it's true. The level of factional fights about ZANU-PF and the tribal fights in ZANU-PF are together in 2017. Where two factions would be engaged in a dog-eat-dog scenario. They may come out and say, no, we are not engaged in factional fights. But it's now a public secret. One of the signs to show you that we have serious factional fights in ZANU-PF is what happened to a retired Major General Godfrey, this one who was initially given a state-assisted funeral and later declared a national hero, who was a PEMSEC in Vice President Tsenengamu's office. Obviously, that guy was being punished for being in the wrong basket, for working in a wrong office. That is why these guys had given him a state-assisted funeral. Vakapava na soldier love ma provincial hero status, but a major general anga apiwa a state-assisted funeral. If you get into ZANU-PF, in 2017, we had Mazezuru and Congarebo. Now we have reversed tribalism in ZANU-PF. Unfortunately, we thought ED would come in and make sure that there is tribal or regional balance. But it seems that if you are not coming from either Mashingo or Midlands, there is nothing for you. So this Mazezuru and Congarebo has been replaced by the Karanga and Congarebo. Not every Karanga is involved in this madness. We have progressive people who come from the Midlands and Mashingo. But unfortunately, this is what the national leadership is portraying to everyone else. In 2017, there was massive grab by those in leadership, especially those in the first family. vaivapo vakasvika pakutora mvura yepamazuva edhemu vakati dhemu rare dhemu, and varipo pari zvino vatora dump site yekupomona yaya haisi yanguva yaiyo, haisi yaDelish. Delish doesn't have the power inosimudza hurumende yese kuenda kunotorwa maselfi iri padump site. It is the first family that is funding Delish Nguaya Papomona deal. And this is what exactly what happened in 2017. There is general discontent among the citizens. Life has become tough and unbearable for everyone. And a clique is enjoying at the top. Vari kudya rifa ruzhinji rwevanhu vachidya nhoko dzezvirongo. And no one cares. Vana mutsvangwa, they've now become arrogant. Akubuda achitaura kuti no, ami ndeni, wewo ami ndeni. Zvazvakanakira kuti ami ndeni ndeyekuti 2017 yakazombobatsira. So rambai makaichengeta iri yenyu, because hatizive kuti ichazofungwawo futi kuita sei zvairi yenyu. Iyoyo ichengete ndeyani, ndeyenyu. Maybe rimwe gore ichatibatsira, handizivi. Saka hatina problem nokuda kuitora. Keep it as your army. But what we know is Dabaningi stolen. Akabviswa papresidency yeZANU by the military officers vaiva pamugagao. Ndo vakanyora mugagao declaration. Ndokubva vaisa mugagao. The same military guys vaona kuti no masamba asiyana 2017 vakabvisa vamugabe vakanga vaisa vachireplace vandabaningi ndokubva vaisa ED. So handei futi. Your guess is as good as mine. So I'm saying 2017 is here. I've already said we have an arrogant and self-centered leadership, as was in 2017. There is bitterness and discontent in the rank and file of ZANU-PF. There are feelings of uncertainty and insecurity in the top echelon of ZANU-PF. Situation yakanga ina ED muna 2017. I can tell you authoritatively, kuti ndo situation in a general as we speak. It's a very sad situation. Vamugabe vakanga vafunga kutamba tingoringo mumwe wavo wakafamba naye for 53 years. And now we have a same situation where varipo varikutadza kurealize kuti 2017 vakanga vapera kusara pasisina chinhu. Vakarescuewa nageneral akatora musoro wake akaisa padanda zvekuti dai operation Store Legacy yakafeira dai kutaura kunouya anhoroondo akadamburwa musoro. But nhasi vaakutenda nei? Vaakuita yakaitwa muna 2017 yekunzi tikuda mumwe vice president wechikadzi. Vadzoka. Ndipo unongoona kuti nhiyo dzinotizira kunoenda gondo. In the same manner that they wanted to get rid of ED by proposing VP wechidzimai. Ndo zvavakuda kuita pana Chiwenga kuti ngo tinoda kuisa VP wechidzimai. Oh well, it's up to Chiwenga on how he's going to deal with that. Is he strong to deal with that? I'm not sure. In 2017, masvingo nemidlands dzakanga dzasvika papoindi yekuti vana amai mahofa vakaenda vakati kumabvimo kwaita nyaya, because they felt that one of their own was under siege. Ko Mashonaland iri kuti chii when one of their own is under siege? So personally, I had thought that President Mnangagwa had learned from what his predecessor did and would do things right. But now it seems chikoro chacho havana kuchidzidza. Vakanga varipo vakatombofunga kuti he is indispensable, havana kwavanoenda vachiudzwa kuti tichauya kumakuva tichiitira politburo kumakuva. Izvozvo izvi kwaane mahwindi for ED, maroja for ED, varombo for ED, handizive vari kuenda vachiita bhutuliki mukuru wese sezvakanga zviripo muna 2017 vasingaudza nechokwadi. So varume sezvakanga zviripo muna 2017 there were massive human rights abuse. We are experiencing the same. Isi takasungwa isu vana matemadanda ivava vana headman moyo isu tikasungwa in mazuva amugabe ndakasungwa ka5 uyu andisunga ka1 but vana skala vari kusungwa, vana masaraure vari kusungwa, vana stole vari kusungwa. Any voice that speaks against the bad things that the government is doing iri kusilence. So the problem is vanhu muna 2017 vakanga vaiswa pakona ende kitsi ikaiswa pakona isisina kwekuenda inosangwa isisina option but kuuya nekwawakamira iko. So vaMnangagwa kufunga kwenyu nezvamuri kuita mupati yenyu nezvamuri kuita munyika nezvamuri kuita kuma opposition members, how do you think you are going to manage this? What do you think is going to be the result of this? The looting that is going on. Vanhu vasinganyari mukaona manyorero ari kuwatsamba naJuly moyo, munhu ari kuziva kuti ndakatsika panoraramisa, ane support yevakuru venyika. But what is now disheartening is Zimbabwe has gone silent. Yasara ya nyaya ya Jacob Mafume. Why are we silent? This is not an MDC or a CCC issue. This is an issue for every Zimbabwean. Because tisu tinobhadhara maretsi muHarare, mari iri kunzi inobhadharwa uku ndeyedu. Why are we silent? Okay. So ndoda kuti nditi sezvandakaita muna 2017 muna musi wa20, if I'm not mistaken, that was 22 February. Ndakabuda ini ndikati ndichiudza vakomana veG40 vakanga varipo, vakanga vazvoona vasvika zvinhu zvavo zvaakuita. Ndikavatsanangurira ndikati varume, munhu ari kuuya kunopinda anonzi Emerson Damudzi Mnangagwa. Vanhu vakanditora vakandiita ijoko vakati atonhorwa nekudzinga muzana. It's cold out there. Ari kutsvaga attention, ari kutsvaga relevance. Ndokubva ndavati touch not the success. The following day ndakabva ndasungwa. Ndikavati inini ndikakumbira Bona kuti Bona enda kutaura nababa uvaudze kuti he is turning himself from a hero to a zero. He is risking kuzonovigwa kwazvimba. And I have videos that are on YouTube. I said that in the numerous video that I cover between 2016 and 2017. Ndokubva ndati inini kuvakomana veG40 chiregai kubata Mnangagwa, mukangomubata ndopa zvaperera. Chigarai pasi muite wekutaura naye because ndiye aakuuya and people love him. vakazoti chabvondoka ndopa vakazimba Tsenengamu pai ndikati ndakamuudza yako mani. And I'm here today. Kuti ndikuudzei baba ama twins. You know how much I supported you. Wholeheartedly. I don't have anything personal with you. We differed on what we differed, but I still respect you as my elder, as my leader. In Ziramatora, Shumba. In Ziramatora, the end will be miserable. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I want Zimbabweans to keep this in their archives. Shumba kana mkasabuda mgwarara maakufamba naro. Rekuita mombe inotunga dzimwe mudanga muchita Mr. Nice. Your end is going to be miserable. Haisi kuzosekesa, ichasiririsa. Well, kana zvandataura ndaresha. Sezva zvinomboita kuti kune vanozogarawo review zvandataura votsvaga mhosva aiva ndibate semabatiro andakaitwa futi naamugari. But on this position, I'm standing. (2023) amunhume kana muri candidate kuna 2023 kana tichizonokwidzana nemi kuna 2023 amunhume. Vari pedyo navamunangagwa ende munovati benzi riya rinonzi Tsenengamu rati Shumba budai munzira muri kufamba nayo. Hamuna kwamupinda. Kana tikasvika 2023 muri candidate hamusi kunogona. Ndinokunamatirai kuti munge muri candidate uye tisvike nemi kuna 2023. But chinhu chikuru chamunogona kuita kuzvibatsira pachenyu. Make amends with your comrades. Hainini siyana neni handadzoka kuzana. Make amends with your comrades. Because ndikadzoka kuzanu zuva hari nyure musati mandidzinga. Because handisi kutenderana nezvamuri kuita. Imi muri kuda vanhu vanouya vonyarara vonyepera kupenga kuti mungasadza romubhiri. Inini I'm not going to do that. I've already sacrificed everything, so I'm not coming there. Forget it. Then ndine nyaya yandada kutaura pana. Vanoirabhisha moirabhisha. Asi vanenjere motende. Kune vanhu true at the moment vanogona kukonzera an upset and deliver Zimbabweans from where we find ourselves in. There are only two people at the moment. It's just like Zimbabwe. And we have taken our rightful place. Yekuti to mobilize 10%. And these two people are Nelson Chamisa and Xavier Kasukwe. Vamwe munogona kuti ari kuti kudii nditeererei. There are two people who can take Zimbabweans out of this situation. Nelson Chamisa and Xavier Kasukuwere. I had my own issues with Xavier Kasukuwere when we were in ZANU-PF. Taisa wirirana, but ndaimuudza chokwadi ende nanhasi anozviziva. Ndakaenda kuofisi kwake 2017 ndikamuudza, vandidzinga ndikamuti moyo. Imimi munhu ari kupinda ndimuna ngamba. Ndikanzi problem yako Tsenengamu. Unotora bhutsu yekureft yoisa kuright, yekuright yoisa kureft. Ndikati pakanaka moyo. But ndiri kukuudzai, imimi muurongwa hwenyika ino muchaita president. But alawai kuti idzi apinde, imimi munouya muchidini muchipinda. Vakatadza kundinzwa. Ndikavaudza zvandakavaudza, ndisingadi kutaura pano. Vamwe ndakavaudza ndikati vamhanya muZANU-PF vachiti nheke pane munhu waadati aite president, ndikati uyo haapinde. Vakati mai muganda vachadaiso, vakati mai mujindu vachadai, ndikavaudza kuti hazvipindi. Nekuti nyika ino iri kudai, iri kufamba nenzira iri kufamba. Ndiri mwana mudiki, but ndiri kutaura zvandiri kuziva ndichizvitora pandiri kuzvitora. So issue iri pano pandeyekudaiso, macomrades. I was saying this to my comrade here. I went to Mashonaland Central some weeks ago. Tichitenderera all the 18 constituencies, all the 8 administrative districts. Tichinotaura nevanhu veMash Central. Vanhu veMash Central, macomrades ari muZANU-PF nevamwe vakabuda. Nevamwe vari kune mamwe mapati vakati kwandiri comrade Tsenengamu maita zvakanaka mauya. Isu seMash Central tine mubvunzo kwamuri kuti kana imi muchiuya kudai, where is your brother? Xavier Kasukuwere makamise. And I tried to explain, but they could not appreciate what I was explaining to them. Kusvika vanditi tiendeserewo message kuna vaKasukuwere. So this is my message to Comrade Kasukuwere from your province. Vana veMashonaland Central vari kuti dzokai. Vana veMashonaland Central vari kuti we were very foolish to celebrate the downfall yavana Mai Mujuru, yavana Goche, your downfall, the downfall yevamwe. We were very foolish as a province. We want you back kumusha. Tikuonei makagara pamatope, because state yaane musha wenyu pamatope is a sorry state. Ravadongo, you could not come back kunozovigama ivenyu, or because of factional battles that were in ZANU-PF, or because you were loyal to President Mugabe, or because you didn't support the ascendance of President Mnangagwa to the presidency, which mustn't be a crime. So, Banana National Central, when you have a Kasukuwere Zokai, Doko Vanditi, you are telling them, Atinada Muzigole Kutigirai, but Noda Kutigareka, which is a province. Kutitiwina and Kutora direction yipi. Nekutita netwa nekuitwa sukuna sai. So they are well aware. I told them, you face a challenge yekushika mchisungwa. They asked me to mosha yavo day, vakatadzirani, imosha nida kuitwa neitiripe mwana wedu adzoke, then kugara msango. So they said, we are moyo, mushike mchisungwa. seMashonaland Central, toziva kuti mwana wedu asungwa. Toda kuziva kuti asungiwe. Then Georgie decided to from them. Mashonaland Central is saying, you are not safe in South Africa. Come back home. Munobvutwa zvikanzi marova nemaamdhiroba. Uyai kuno tione chinokuwanai muri kuno kumusha. toziva kuti imhosva here kuti makasapota pamugabe and you were loyal to him. So this is the postcard that I got from Mashonaland Central to Comrade Kasukwere. Mashonaland Central iri kuti kumusha kwaita bwanza, the leadership vacuum. Variko vakukundwa neshiri dzinoziva kuti ikanovhima inouya yakachengetera vana vayo. Ari kuti adya hapana achatsengera vana, vakutsenga vachimedza. So they want you back. So in terms of how we are going to deal with who we are going to back in 2023, one is dependent on kuti tichatenderana here navana mukoma chamisa on how we are going to proceed. Oro kuti mukoma Sevia Kasukwere vari kudzoka here, ende kana vadzoka politics dzavo vada kudzifambisa sei. Kwanzi neMashonaland Central takakumirirai. And we know kuti Mashonaland Central ndo yanga agara iri stronghold yeZANU-PF and ndo kwakawinira ED. But ndoda kuti nditi kwamuri vakasukwere kana mukadzoka muchifunga kuenda kuZANU-PF chizive kuti mapera. And in any case havasi kutombobuda ikoko. So you would rather come and work with other progressive Zimbabweans, which is your right. Oro munouya motanga rwenyu rwendo variko vanoti vakakumirirai vanoda kukutsigirai. Ini ndakatanga rwangu nevamwe vangu ava nevasipo. Kana mauya ndo patichazodecide kuti tofamba nemi here oro tofamba navachamisa oro imi navachamisa nesu tese vamwe tofamba tiri pamwe chete and deal with this menace that is before us. So chitipindurai Comrade Kasukwere, tinoda kusangana nemi paairport, musauya muchihwanda. Tinokumirirai panomhara ndege kana muchisunga tosunga tiripo tichizoona kuti mwana wokumusha wekwedu aiswa ngecheni tochidzokera kumusha tonotaura nevamwe. So my comrades, in terms of generally the way forward for ahead of 2023, we are rolling out programs to mobilize in mass young people to vote. We are going to start a lot of programs, the activism, to make sure that we conscientize Zimbabweans, we speak on behalf of Zimbabweans, we push the programs related to Zimbabweans, that shall launch mu program yedu yatitati agenda 2328 yeurongwa hwedu seFEEZ kuti kana tawana ma-MPs 20 kana tawana ma-councillors 100 chii chatinoda kuachieve on behalf of the Zimbabweans pahurumende inenge yavako oro patinenge tiri muparliament oro patinenge tiri mucouncil on behalf of the generality of Zimbabweans. We stand ready to contribute to the fight against corruption, to the fight against the looting that is going on, to the fight for democracy. But tinokumbira madzikoma edu because it is clear kuti musha mumwe nemumwe una leader, musha mumwe nemumwe una baba. For now, it's given kuti baba cheopposition vamira zvakaita izvozvo, the advocate Nelson Chamisa. But advocate, you must also provide leadership. Zvakanaka kuenda patikuita mukoma, but pamwe pacho paakuda kuenda paground. Musazeza kusungwa mkuru wangu. It's part of the journey. Vana mugabe vakatosungwa. Ivo vana munangabva vakaita ma10 years mujeni. Kana mukasungwa tinopota tichiva tichikuona iwo ikoko semaoendero amuri kuita kuti unoonawo vanhu. And izvozvo zvinoita kuti maZimbabweans vave neresolve. And ndinokukumbirai kuti mobilizai vanhu venyu vastande in solidarity nema comrades are under persecution. Because if what is happening to the other comrades happens to you, my comrades are pacified where they are now. Munonyura zuva rakashika nyika. Teach your people to fight for each other. Teach your people to stand in support of each other. No matter your factional differences, iko kana mine matambudziko triple. Lead the fight against even now we pomona. Vamutiripo tobatsirana toenda mberi because mune voice rinonzwiwa nemaZimbabweans. And vanhu venyu vakamirira instruction, vanhu venyu vakamirira signal. But kana mukakundika kutora leadership, samukoma mukuru pamba, isu sevapwere muchazotoona taakuignowai, taakuzviorganizira paside, taakuorganiza kuti musha unofamba sei, and that won't be good for Zimbabwe and everyone else. So I would want to say thank you, my comrades, for coming. Indeed, 2017 is here. Environment yatiri mairi andizive kuti tinopedza takaita sei. Nhasi handina kuda kuti nditi dyo, pane zvakawanda. But vane nzeve dzekunzwa vanzwa. Baba vaMnangagwa, musawire mugomba rakawirwa navaMugabe, muchiona. Because environment yamacreator ndo environment yakacreatwa navaMugabe. And we all know how it ended. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I will just give time for 2 questions. You can introduce yourself and you can ask.
Yes, my name is Amasha Boy. Throughout your presentation, you highlighted that it's only said that Kasipere Janisa that can save this country and get to tomorrow. You also expressed that if President Emerson Mnangagwa is to contest the 2023 elections, he will not win, proposing that if he is to contest, are you highlighting that there are purpose within ZANU-PF, that is, if ZANU-PF is going to Congress, he won't be the one who will be contesting the 2023 elections, and if he contests, what gives you the courage or the courage to say that he will not win 2023 elections?
All right. Why I'm saying so is because, like I said, there is a lot of discontent, there is a lot of bitterness, there is a lot of uncertainty, feelings of uncertainty and insecurity in the rank and file of ZANU-PF. No one knows what tomorrow holds for them. How do you expect people who are not sure of what's going to happen to them to support someone? Because vanhu vari kutya kuti vanezenge vabvunzana kuti ndiani wavariyambutsa ndingwe. Because mamiriro azvakaita muZANU is a dog-eat-dog situation. Muna 2007, ZANU-PF had a similar situation. And vaMugabe insisted on kumira. Kukanoitwa bhora musango. Simba Makone paakamira, he garnered 8%. And vaMugabe struggled to get 50 plus 1%. And there was a runoff, which then forced the creation in GNU. So I am telling you, kuti kana vaMnangagwa vakatadza kumanage the tribal and factional fights, vakabuda havo vese, because ivo vachabuda vachitaura kuti takabatana, vachivenga vabuda vachitaura kuti takabatana, but hatisi vana vadiki who can be fooled. Everyone in ZANU-PF is telling you kuti mafight ari muno comrade better yenyu makadzimba, isusu muno mataizewo kumira nayo. So kana vaMnangagwa vakamira muna 2023, I'm telling you, nemamiriro azvakaita kune bhora musango iri serious, and isusu vamwe tiri kuifarira because ichatibatsira seFEEZ because of a number of reasons. But the problem yazvo yema-factional problems emuZANU-PF haana a bearing chete muZANU-PF, ane a bearing to national governance. Ndokusaka makaona kuti pavakatadza kuresolve succession matters auna 2008 kwaitwa bhora musango kwakazoita violence parunoff ikaafika nevanhu vanga vasiri involved in factional fights. Pakakatadza kuresolve factional fights avo muZANU-PF in 2017 yakakonzera operation stole gas, vanhu vese vakazopinda pastreets. So whatever happens in ZANU-PF, people have been asking kuti nairo Tsenengamu, why do you want to continue to comment on my issues in ZANU-PF usisimo? Every right-thinking opposition party must be worried with what happens in the governing party, because it has an impact on national governance and it has also an impact on Imimi as the opposition. So I am telling you today, kuti if Mnangagwa doesn't sort out his mess, he must forget about even getting 40% in 2023, because 2018 vakapona nekuchaya nekurutsa kuti vawane 50%. Pakanga kusina ma-factional fights arikwa. So what's going to happen nezvavaitana? Zvokuti mumwe nomumwe haasi kuziva kuti ramangwana rake rakamira sei. So that is what informs me on my view and opinion over what is happening in ZANU-PF, and also from the people who are in ZANU-PF. I was in ZANU-PF. They are free to confide in some of us and seek advice. So advice yangu kuma comrades ari mu ZANU-PF ndeyekuti vakomana chimbomirai kutanga kuenda kumberi steering. Zvina kumira mushe mbato renyu, chimbomirai kuonekera kuti muri kudivirani, ingoitaiwo vanhu, because munogona kuzomhanya semamhanyiro akaita kana muna 2017 kana masamba akapesana. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Kuzai from Checkmate TV. My question is for you. You mentioned the government of national unity, and you indicated that you want to see another GNU. But then this has never worked before. I mean, going back to the period between 2009 to 2013, this particular arrangement benefited ZANU-PF. So why should you insist on something that involves ZANU-PF when the majority of the Zimbabwean population are calling for ZANU-PF to be out of the picture completely?
Oh, okay. Let me address that question. We mustn't be emotional when we are dealing with national issues. We have to be objective. GNU 2009 to 2018 failed to produce my results as required for a number of reasons. The other reason was executive power remained in the hands of a single individual. Mugabe was the head of state and head of government. But the GNU that I want post 2023, if we don't come up with a grand coalition against ZANU-PF, which may not produce an outright win, is where executive power is shared between the president, who must become the head of state, and the prime minister, who must become head of government. Why I'm saying that is important, so that there are checks and balances on both ends. Vana Changirai vakangopiwa mazita ekunzi prime minister, vachinzi ndiwe unochair council of ministers, isina ngobvira yakasita. Ministers acho achiti akashedzwa hawi. So it was a one-sided thing. So these guys were beaten on the table ZANU-PF for lack of experience. So it was also because of Mundu akanga abatsira kukrafta that GNU vanachabhumbeke ndichi vakanga vakarerekera ku ZANU-PF. Why I would also prefer a GNU? It's because, comrade, second round, if ZANU mobilize 150 million, you're going to have an election jet. vanhu vachitambudzika ikunotenga maskipa mascarf macape nei. They care about winning elections. So kana vanhu runoff zvichiinvolva ZANU-PF whether ipa number 1 or number 2 vano-unleasha their whole arsenal politically, resource-wise, security-wise, and everything to make sure that they get a win. And if they win power, vasisina munhu ari kuva manager. It's a wasted effort from 2023 to 2028. So we would rather cause a situation yekuti no, ampinde muhurumende muri mega, and you are not going to be the head of government and state. And make sure that power is equally shared. And power clear in terms of the agenda, who will be responsible for doing what and how it's going to be done. That's the JNU that we want, where the negotiations must involve civil society and all progressive Zimbabweans must come to the table and say, this is the direction that we're going in. So it's important to cause the ZANU-PF not to win. I'm saying this also because it's more unlikely that all opposition parties will agree to back one presidential candidate. Kune vanhu vane beef, inini ndikati ndida kubheka Chamisa, kune vanhu vanoti kufane kuora Chamisa handidi kumuona. To have a runoff muna 2018, Chamisa aida less than 40,000. And 40,000 is dzakanga dzinani vaitodziona because dzakanga dzakashayiwa amongst the other opposition parties, because vanhu vasina kuvhotera MDC Alliance muna 2018, vasina kuvhotera ED muna 2018, they are close to 100,000. Who didn't vote for neither MDC Alliance Chamisa or ZANU-PF Tsenengamu? So it will be good to mobilize all those people to vote for one candidate. But in the comrade, not everyone out there is reasonable. Kune vamwe vasina kutosvika pakasvika isusu pokuaccepta kuti isusu tiri kutargeta 10%. Vari kumhanya kumwe mombe dzakarasika mumushomo vachingoti ndivhotere as president. You know very well that they don't have the numbers. And they don't see it good to back someone who has that potential to cause an upset. So if we are given such a scenario, isusu ne target 10%, rather than allowing ZANU-PF to get an outright win in the first round, would rather come in between ZANU-PF and Chaputi and say, Akuna isusu atupay 10% yetu, atupay 10% ya mukuda. Let's go for a government of national unity, and this is what we think has to happen. And Zimbabweans have to support us in that agenda. It's not for the benefit of ZANU-PF. But like I said, even if Chamisa comes in, akasakwanisa kubatanidza ruzhinji rwevanhu and also pick from vanhu vari muZANU-PF and Chief, if he wins, tikana kumusapota tikanowina. That's if my party is going to decide on supporting him. Because like I said, we still have a choice. And kana akasakwanisa kubatanidza vanhu vakasava sure vanhu vari musystem yeZANU-PF izvozvi muhurumende, they will dig in and sabotage him, and he won't be able to move even an inch. And make sure that they create a scenario yekuti haakwanise kustay for long in power. So muna 1980 makomrades akanga aurayiwa home, but vakaziva kuti hatigone, ndokusaka vanhu gabe vakapronounce reconciliation, because he knew kuti tikada kuita zvakanga zvaitwa navasamora kuMozambique zvekungoti maPortuguese ako kudzingai, vakasiya vaisa concrete machinery vakasabotage Mozambique ikatogonetseka. So they had to give Rhodesian Front 26. Vana Peter Walls vakatombosiyiwa ari makomanda emauto, vana Dennis Norman vakatomboitwa maminister, because it's a process. So Zimbabweans have to not to be emotional. You would understand the frustration in Iran, but people have to be objective and look at these issues. Okay, how best do we manage for the good of everyone? So as GNU, if there are no prospects of an outright win for an opposition, is an option for us to cause for that creation after the 2023 elections, and make sure that the NPF doesn't get 50 plus 1%, and also the other guys running the Basinga, obviously running the Basinga 50 points. Because in any vote yango will be community. Do you know it to ZANU-PF? Vote yango will be in. Jeva no arimu ZANU-PF, and it's good ZANU-PF. Issues. What we got to fair. And the but I've said in India, my prospect vote yangu indiki is compared to Yachamisa, is compared to most probably Yakasukwe. That's my take on this. That's my emotions.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, okay.
You said that 2017 political elections, 2017 is history repeating itself. When the Centennial William Mugabe and Emerson Mnangagwa protests. But then why then the fortune is when say that the Square and Nelson Chamisa are not general, since it's a Centennial of the something where the former president Mugabe was fighting with his vice president.
No, why I've said Nelson Chamisa and Kasukwere instead of General Chwenga. One, I have not heard General Chwenga expressing his ambition to want to be president. No, Mnangagwa ndiye munhu mutapa wedu tinogona kuti waita life president nechi. Saka ndinofungira kuti munhu arikusapota umwe wake, but asiri kutoketa kuti timu rake harichatomulava, harichatomulava. Anditi urikuona. Saka kuti titaureza General Chwenga, ivo pachavo vasina chokwadi chekuti vari kuda here upresident oruchi. Paipai 2017 iji aize kuda hake kuti no inini harisi kuda, but isusu taitoziva kuti no mudhara ari kutoda chinhu. Ndisaka taitoenda pamberi tichidini tichipusha. Saka vachiwenga vari kungotiwo ed. Saka ed watonzi ada kuWhatsApp. Saka hatigoni kutaura zvavachiwenga. But what I can say is madhira ada kuitwa naED pana Chiwenga akadhara. Because he is teaching people not to be loyal. Because if someone like the general akakisira musoro padanda, wakutongomita SS, how do you think kuti vamwe vakakukomberedza vanokutrust? Hapana, vakatongowanawo chanzi chekukurova tingoringo, vanokurova bhodza vanobva vachiona kuti uri mumere. No problem, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. See you next time.